Sandy Alcantara and Troy Johnston led the Marlins to a series win over the Tigers.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I'm a diehard Marlins fan, and I've podcasted about the team for the last 4 seasons. You can find me on Twitter at Jeremiah Geiger 2, and thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And on today's show, I'm going to discuss Sandy Alcantara and Troy Johnston, both of whom played critical parts in the Marlins series win over the Tigers this weekend. We're also going to talk about what it means for the Marlins to finish strong as the 2025 season is wrapping up here shortly. Sandy Alcantara went for the Marlins on Friday night, and the pitching matchup, if you are a pitching enthusiast like me, was enticing. You had the reigning AL Cy Young winner, Tarik Skubal, who is likely going to win it again this season, versus the former Cy Young winner, Sandy Alcantara. And Sandy had been pitching better. Tarik Skubal can dominate any game that he pitches in. It's just you just got to hope you get lucky if you're an opposing lineup. He's that good. And unfortunately, the pitching matchup on one side of things didn't go too well. Tarik Skubal was struggling early on, and he actually left the game early with an injury. He didn't complete 4 innings. I think it was 3 1/3. He goes 3 1/3, 4 hits, 4 earned runs. Just not his best stuff from a really good pitcher. No concerns there. The immediate concern was, okay, Tarik Skubal left with an injury. Is he going to miss any time? But thankfully, the Tigers say he's okay. He's on track to make his next start, and we're all good there. Sandy Alcantara, though, against a very decent Detroit Tigers lineup, was really good. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. That was over 96 pitches. He gets the win, and he continues to pitch very well. And looking back at the game log, I kind of have there's a date in my mind in which things were noticeably turning around for Sandy Alcantara, and that was back at Fenway Park in mid-August. August 15th, Sandy goes 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. What preceded that particular outing was just the Sandy Alcantara of 2025 that we had been used to seeing this season. He gave up 6 runs. He gave up 5 runs. And then he goes into Boston against a hot Red Sox team, a really good lineup up there, and goes 6 innings, 1 run. Okay, let's use that and let's build more momentum. Goes against St. Louis, 7 innings, 1 run, or 1 earned run rather. And that preceded a streak of 3 games of 7 innings completed for Sandy. He had the Cardinals 7 innings, the Braves 7 innings, the Mets 7 innings, and then his most recent start before the Tigers game, he went 6 innings. So 4 out of the last 5 outings for Sandy Alcantara, he's gone 7 innings. And that to me just shows that this guy is back. He feels confident. He feels great about his arsenal and what he's throwing. He can work deep into games. He's completely healthy. There's no injury concerns there. And when Sandy's at his best, he's still got it. He's still got that Cy Young caliber stuff to go out and dominate a lineup. And we saw that this weekend against the Tigers. Anytime you go out there and throw 7 innings, 2 runs, and 8 strikeouts, you're going to take it. You're absolutely going to take that if you're the Marlins. So what this means moving forward is this. You're looking at the schedule. And I'm gonna pull up the schedule right here because I believe there's 13 games left, and Sandy's scheduled to throw against Colorado in Colorado this week. And the Marlins are off on Monday, but they're going to resume action on Tuesday. He's going to throw against Colorado, and then we really have 2.5 weeks left of the season. So assuming the regular pitching rotation doesn't change, I think he's going to throw in Colorado and then at Citizens Bank Park next week against the Phillies. And that will be it for Sandy's 2025 campaign. What I don't want people to take away from this season with Sandy Alcantara is that he's done, that the days of dominance are over. And I'm guilty of thinking that. At the beginning of the year, it was really, really bad. And it continued to get really, really bad. But like I said, mid-August, he turned the page. He turned the corner and is showing flashes of being that ace pitcher that the Marlins need, that we're used to seeing. And it gives me hope for 2026 if the Marlins indeed keep him and try to improve the roster and make a run at the postseason. My fear is that the Marlins and Peter Bendix are still going to try to trade Sandy Alcantara. That in their mind, he's still their biggest trade chip, and they're going to get an offer that they like and deal him for prospects. And I'm going to go on record right now and say to you, I don't want that to happen. Coming into 2025, I expected Sandy to get traded. That was an expectation of mine. I would have told you I'd be surprised if he isn't traded by the deadline. And then he went out and pitched so poorly that they couldn't justify moving him for the offers that they were receiving. Sandy's happy. He wants to be a Marlin. He loves the city of Miami, and it all works out. But here's the thing. Peter Bendix has an itch, a trade itch that he hasn't scratched in a long time. The Marlins made 2 trades, dare I say, somewhat insignificant moves at this deadline, moving Nick Fortes, and I can't believe I'm blanking on the other one. But what was that other trade that the Marlins made? Because they didn't. Oh, Jesus Sanchez. My mind completely drew a blank right there. Jesus Sanchez, and who was expected to get traded, and it made sense because of Jacob Marcy was ready. They needed to open up a spot. Jesus Sanchez never truly figured it out as a Marlin, and most people would agree he wasn't part of the long-term plans for the Marlins. Well, I still think Sandy can be and should be part of the Marlins' long-term plans. And that's why I don't want to see him get traded. I want him to finish the season strong, and I want him to be the ace heading into 2026. You look at the numbers. The overall numbers for Sandy Alcantara aren't great at all. 9-12, a 5.53 ERA across 29 starts. That's a bad season. And I'm going to be the first one to say the beginning of his season, probably the first, 3/5 of the season have been disappointing for Sandy. But he started to show glimpses of what he is, what he can do, and it's culminating in a really good run of success for him. I don't want to see the Marlins give up on that. He's a fan favorite. Most importantly, he wants to be a Marlin. He's the closest thing we've had to a lifelong Marlin. I know he started with the Cardinals, but he's now seen 2 rebuilds. He was here in 2020. He was here in 2023. Keep him around. He's still got gas left in the tank. And this past start against the Tigers showed that. Troy Johnston had himself a game on Saturday. multi-home run game. And I couldn't be more happier for Troy. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel is great because it fits however you like to bet, whether that's player props, same-game parlays, money lines, or live action bets while the game unfolds and you get a read on who's having success, who's not. They've got it all. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy on Sundays. So if you're ready to play, you can go download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com today. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. PrizePicks makes fantasy football a little bit more interesting because there might be a player that you really like that you think is going to have a great game on Sunday, and you can put some money on him for the stats, receiving yards, passing yards, rushing, whatever it may be, and then you can cash out. And it's great. It's a great, exciting way to follow along on NFL Sunday, Thursday, or Monday Night Football. And this week's max discount include Patrick Mahomes for half a passing yard. So on Sunday Night Football, I think Patrick Mahomes is safe to get that. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. I appreciate all the everyday listeners who tune in to Locked On Marlins. Troy Johnston, what a performance he had on Saturday. And overall, for the Marlins first baseman, he's got to feel good about the start to his major league career. And Saturday in particular, the Marlins are down by a run in the 6th, and Troy just crushes one to right field. Right center field, 434 feet. That's Agustin Ramirez type numbers. That's a tape measure home run for Troy Johnston. That was his second homer of the season, and he wasn't done with that with his performance either. In the 11th inning, there's one out, there's a runner on first, and Troy walks it off. 2-run homer, his second homer of the game. It's a multi-homer game for Troy Johnston. He does the bat flip. Everybody's going crazy. His teammates love it. The fan base absolutely loves it. I loved it because nobody deserves this more than Troy Johnston. And it's not saying that, Troy, it's a feel-good story. No, it is a feel-good story, but it's also indicative of that he's just a really good player. He's a ball player, and he's proving that, yes, he belongs in the major leagues. On the season, he's hitting .267, an on-base percentage of .323 with an OPS of .742. Now, I know that is over. It's not over a long period of time. It's just 86 at-bats. But given the questions that the Marlins have at first base, doesn't it feel like these next couple of weeks before the season ends are super important for Johnston to give himself a chance in spring training in 2026 to show the organization that, hey, you have a first baseman right here. I know there's a lot of negativity surrounding this position. It's been rough offensively, but hey, I'm that guy, and I can perform and be an everyday option for you next season. Because inevitably, that's what these last couple of weeks are coming down to. It's tryouts for 2026. Troy's been doubted his whole career. He was a 17th round draft pick. He was left off he wasn't protected in the Rule 5 draft a couple of years ago. Nobody chose him. Nobody took a flyer on him. And it looked like he would never make his major league debut, at least with the Marlins, until this season, and he finally did. That 2-home run game for him was huge. I mean, he's got the power. He's got the exit velocity. He's not a scrub by any means. And that's important for the organization to realize, is that I think Johnston offers this team value, not just the rest of the season to play it out because you need 9 guys in the lineup, but for next season, I think he can be a contributor. Now, I know I got on the podcast and said, look, Johnston or the Marlins should go out and sign Josh Naylor. And I still stand by that. If I was the owner and I had the funds to go buy the Marlins and make a free agent signing, Josh Naylor would be the first guy on my list this offseason. But I'm not. And the chances of Josh Naylor wearing the Marlins colors in 2026 are very low. So they're going to probably pivot elsewhere. And it's fascinating to me because I would rather see Troy Johnston get more at-bats, more consistent at-bats, than somebody like Eric Wagman. And it's tough to say that right now because Wagman's playing pretty well. His last 30 games, he's hitting over 300. I think it's like 330 or something. But Johnston, you could platoon him with a right-handed hitter if you wanted to. Maybe you make that shift to first base with Agustin Ramirez and give Johnston the at-bats against the righty, get his bat in the lineup, and then DH Augustine on the days he's not playing first base. There's different scenarios you can work with. And I hope the Marlins give him an opportunity in 2026. I don't know where they're going to go. I'm surprised that Troy made his major league debut. There was a point in time when it looked like he would never get the call up, ever, and would just be a career minor leaguer until he hit free agency this offseason and then went on to a different organization. That's how I thought things were going to play out. But as you saw on Saturday, that's a good baseball player. That's a professional hitter. And the Marlins can use him next year. Will they, is the question. I don't know. I don't know what their plan is for first base. Do they bring Eric Wagman back? Is that an option? Do they look at the last month and a half and say, we've seen enough, we believe in the underlying metrics to make him the everyday first baseman again for an entire season, and hopefully that back half of the season is the reality with his bat, or it was just fool's gold? It was a mirage. Time's going to tell. But for right now, you got to feel good for Troy. It's a legend. It's a fan favorite. Everybody roots for Troy Johnston. And to see that type of success for that guy, it makes me happy, and it should make everybody feel good that he's doing it at the highest level, and he finally made it. And I'm rooting for him the last couple of weeks really hard, because if he continues to hit, and that's what it's all about. It's not his defense necessarily. It's not his base running. It's about his bat. But if he continues to hit the last couple of weeks, then he's going to make that decision for the Marlins first base situation that much more murkier, that much more difficult. If I can pronounce words correctly on here. And that's what you want, fostering competition. So I think he can do it. The Marlins are going to have to finish strong these next couple of weeks. The season's flown by, hasn't it? It's really flown by. And now we are we're less than 2 weeks away from the season being over. The Marlins will wrap up the 2025 campaign 2 weeks from yesterday against the New York Mets. So what does it mean for the Marlins to finish strong? What am I watching for specifically these next couple of weeks? I'm going to talk about that right after this. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Whether you're at work, you're out with your friends, or you're just getting ready in the morning, Nutrafol will give you more confidence in your daily routine. And it's super convenient. It's a simple addition to your day. 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. It's easy. And you can feel good about it as well, knowing that Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow Locked On Marlins, the Marlins community. And this is the daily podcast, Monday through Friday, to get your hot takes, your information about the Marlins, the storylines, and appreciate all the everyday listeners who have comments. You can always hit me up with comments and questions for the show, get shouted out. On the podcast. I have a comment that I'm going to get to real quickly. This is from everyday listener Thomas Joseph. He said, which Marlins will get new numbers in 2026? He said, I'm thinking Marcy for sure, Ramirez, and Sanoja. It seems like pitchers often retain the high numbers. Thank you for the question, Troy, and I agree with you. I think Jacob Marcy is a shoo-in for a lower number. Not that it's a huge deal, but, for some players it is, and it speaks to solidification, if that's a word, with your spot on the roster. Jacob Marcy was called up. He was given number 87. I don't expect that to be the case in 2026. I think he's going to be number 15, number 17, one of those lower numbers. Agustin Ramirez, I actually like the number 50. I think it fits him perfectly. I hope Ramirez keeps the number 50. Sanoja at 46. I don't know, because he did debut not this year, but last year. So maybe he keeps 46. And that's just his number the rest of the way. Other candidates for number changes, Heriberto Hernandez, Troy Johnston. If Troy Johnston, who I just talked about in the last segment, makes the roster, I think he'll have a lower number. He currently has 75. And I did want to say, regarding the numbers in today's MLB, you'll rarely see a pitcher with a single digit number. So I can't remember the last Marlins pitcher that wore single digits. Comment down below. Maybe that's the trivia question today, who was the last Marlins pitcher to wear a single-digit number. So I don't anticipate that for the Marlins moving forward. What I do anticipate for the Marlins these last couple of weeks is their effort. They are going to put forth effort and play the game the right way. At least that's my hope. And I really hope that's the case, because we only have 2 weeks from yesterday of baseball left. This is it for the Marlins. There's not going to be a playoff playoff appearance this year. I know they made things interesting. They won 4 straight, and nobody wants that third and final wild card, but I would just be shocked if the Marlins won. I think they'd have to go like 11-2, sweep the Mets. It's a whole scenario that it's not pointless into breaking it down, but the Marlins aren't making the playoffs. They do, however, have a slate of games, a big road trip. They're in Colorado for 3. That starts on Tuesday. They go to Texas for 3, and then they go to Philly for 3 before coming home to wrap up the season against the New York Mets. That would be fun. What I'm looking for is if by chance the Mets and say the Giants or the Reds, one of those teams is within a couple of games of the Mets and the Marlins can play spoiler that last weekend of the season and knock the Mets out of the playoffs for good, that would be the best. That would be incredible. Other than that, take care of business in Colorado. You got to take care of business there. The Rangers, pretty solid team, I'd argue. Playoff contenders, former World Series champions. They haven't had the best season, but it's at their place. They're a good baseball team. And, the Marlins gotta just play good baseball in order to survive. The Rangers are 8 games over 500. They still have a chance at the division. The Marlins then go to Philly. Philly's a good team. We know that. The work's going to be cut out for them there. I have a hard time envisioning the Marlins winning the Rangers series and the Philly series. Of course, we're going to have a lot of time, many more shows before the Philly series. So from an individual perspective, what do I want to see Miami really emphasize? Number one thing, I kind of want to just see power. I want to see some more home runs from the fish. Some big time swings. Maybe Troy Johnston gets another couple of homers. And then this Colorado series, what I'm really looking forward to is Ryan Weathers, his second start off of the injured list. And then Yuri and Sandy. How does Yuri handle pitching in Coors Field? How does Sandy finish the season? Can he continue pitching well? Yuri, Weathers, Sandy, potentially the top 3 for the Marlins heading into next year if Edward Cabrera isn't healthy and isn't ready by opening day. Hopefully he is. But those are 3 pitchers that it's almost appointment viewing for the Marlins. Even at this point in the season, you got to feel good about your chances there. Hustle. You gotta play the game right. Clayton McCullough make smart bullpen decisions. I haven't talked about Clayton too much recently, and that might be a good thing. I saw some fire from him a few weeks ago. He got tossed out of the game. Xavier Edwards was ejected. Maybe another ejection from Clayton McCullough as he gets worked up over a call. Hey, I'm all here for it. I think getting ejected and getting fired up is part of the job description of a major league manager at times. You're obviously a professional. You want to lead by example, but sometimes you have to give the umpire an earful and let him know that he makes the wrong decisions. So it's bittersweet that the season's coming to an end. Of course, Jacob Marcy, I mean, if you extrapolated his stats over 155 games, I haven't done the math on that, but I'm sure it's out of this world good. He's already over 2 WAR, I think 2.4 WAR. Just an incredible rookie season from Marcy, who would have won the National League Rookie of the Year without a doubt had he started the season on the Marlins or had been called up sooner. Marlins, it's been a fun season, and it's 2.3 WAR for Jacob Marcy in just 43 games. Think about that. 43 games for Jacob Marcy, 2.3 WAR. It's been a fun season. We're seeing some building blocks come together. I just want to see this team string wins together and offensively show power and drive in runs. I didn't mention this, but that Sunday game they lost by a score of 2-0. That's just a dud. I don't want to see duds the rest of the way. Finish strong, score runs, play exciting baseball, play fundamental, emphasize on the fundamentals. You have to execute those at a high level, and just go into 2026 with momentum. That's the key for the Marlins. Find that momentum. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Marlins. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And until next time, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.